Overrated. Way
Forever, ever?
overrated. Forever, ever, and ever, ever.
Yikes. Yo, I think we're live.
All right.
All right. Welcome back to the B Plus Podcast. Today we're going to discuss American Gods, Season 1, Episode 6. Nathan, what's the name of this episode?
I don't know, but it's probably Vulcan. Oh, no, it's the Murder of Gods, right?
Is it a Star Trek episode?
Hey, it very well could be. Because there's time travel in this one.
There is. What I like to start it off, we could just do the Coming to America, is Jesus makes an appearance.
Yeah, some people were saying, they were trying to say that Cheez-Its makes an appearance, and people were trying to say in certain articles that I was reading that this isn't like a controversial episode, nor is it political, but I'm like, well, as soon as you enter on the hard note of religion, then okay, how isn't it? Exactly. And it's not any Cheez-Its, it's the Mexican Cheez-Its.
What do we see for context in this? I mean, does it even give us anything? Because, having finished the book, now I finished the 10th anniversary edition. So Jesus doesn't make an appearance, but he writes, and I skipped it. Neil Gaiman writes, I always wanted Shadow to meet Jesus. And I wrote this. He's like, I wrote it, I put it in, I took it out. Put it in, I took it out. He goes, so now that it's the 10th anniversary, he goes, I'm going to put it in this appendix. So he just added like a little thing. He's like, this is nothing to do. He goes, it's not part of the book or anything like that. You don't have to read it. He goes, this is just something that I wanted to do of Shadow meeting Jesus. And I didn't read it.
That's funny. So he did put it in the 10th anniversary.
Yeah, that's the one I read, which supposedly is a little bit longer.
Okay.
But it took me about a month and 700 and some pages or whatever that it is. I was just like, all right, it's time for a new book. I'm not reading about your Jesus meeting.
Well, as we discussed with other episodes, Brian Fuller and Michael Green aren't afraid to bring things into the story that isn't necessarily in the book or something they want to be able to expand on the 10th anniversry.
Which is amazing.
What they wanted to do, and they joked about it on like an Entertainment Weekly kind of like vlog on the show. They were going to have all the different Jesuses be aliens, but then they kind of laughed about how they're not going to do that. And then Fuller might have let go like a little bit of like either a straight up joke or foreshadowing that we'd find that out in season 2. But for now, I think it was Mr. Wednesday who had let Shadow know in like a coffee shop that their Jesus is really popular and there's all different kinds of Jesus. And this one we get to see him actually show up in the Coming to America, which looks a little bit more modern for Coming to America. Right. It might not really have anything to do with the forward movement of the story or not. It's just another one of those, here's our Coming to America segments. And I think that it was a pretty powerful scene because I grew up Christian. So being able to even see like Jesus walk in the water and these people look up at him and I'm like, oh my God, what if that was me? What would have been like? What impact would that have on me? And then something happens that I don't understand. Like he can get shot and hurt, and I'm like, well, would that not be able to happen? And then we see the bullets have Vulcan on it, so that they were made. And then we have the contrast of are they trying to villainize guns and bullets and people that use rifles for whatever reasons they want to, or are they trying to show that like there are two different types of stances here in opinions in A and B in this scene, and what unfolds is the rest of the scene. It's not like very nice ending, but then again, the Coming to America segments are never really all that nice.
I have two theories. One is that they're just alluding to that Jesus very well was just a carpenter.
Jesus. Okay.
Because he was just a carpenter after all.
Okay.
And number 2, they're trying to set up Star Trek versus the gods.
Like the new gods versus the old gods? Oh, okay.
Well, they're killing them with the Vulcan ammo.
Oh, yeah, that's right. This is an episode of... You should have said like the original. You know what I mean? the original series, and I would have got it earlier on. This was inspired when Neil drove through Vulcan, the town, and they had a statue of Vulcan. and that's how he kind of came up with this whole type of scene here. Was it in the book?
No, this scene's not in the book, but he does say once or twice, but I think in the beginning and in the end when he's doing his just talking about the book, he does say that like ultimately this book's just a road trip across country.
Yeah.
And like, you know, while they're going across country, they're gathering gods and stuff to fight this battle. But yeah, he really emphasizes that it's like this just crazy road trip. So I'm guessing that stuff he's seen on his own travels would make it made it into the book in some capacity.
Yeah.
So,
it was a pretty cool kind of thing to show. I don't know if I should go into it because if we've already discussed the Coming to America, which I guess like either like has a large impact or falls flat for whoever's watching it, then they have a little bit of a conversation about the last meeting they have with Mr. World Technical Boy in media, and I think that's like you were mentioning in the last episode. Is it Shadow who puts it? Like he's like, what the hell is that in there? Like Marilyn Monroe just floats into an effing room and massacred a station full of cops and just left in the middle of it, and then I get stabbed by Charlie Brown's Christmas tree.
Oh yeah.
Are you kidding me? She's floating.
Yeah,
bro, she can hear you. She's right there.
so then he has to do some type of a surgery because his wound is still moving, and I guess Mr. Wood left behind like a little version of himself, or maybe a vicious splinter that was like kind of starting to like I don't know, grow, which makes sense because they said that Michael Green did help write Alien Covenant, but I don't know if that has anything to do with anything.
Oh really?
Yeah, I saw that, by the way. It was good, well, better than I expected. Wednesday explains that this creature is from Mr. Wood, and that Mr. Wood was kind of an old god of the forest, but when he saw industry coming, he wiped out or sacrificed his forests, like kind of made them into what, like sawmills or something like that.
Yeah.
But he might be like one of those old gods that's trying to become more relevant in modern society. So now he might be teamed up with the new gods. That's why he's trying to stop Mr. Wednesday or at least hurt Shadow. I'm still taking guesses at that. Maybe we'll see that more clearly later on.
Like I said, it's really, I mean, unless I'm just an idiot, it's just really taking things that, you know, are even in the end of the book and saying like about how like old gods are joining new gods. Like I didn't really know about that until, you know, 3/4 or the last quarter of the book. But yeah, I mean they're really jumping around here, and like I said yesterday with with Laura. Oh, when she starts she sees her heart, right? Is that what we're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, her heart beats.
Yeah, and that
Like
was literally towards the end.
Oh, okay. So I'm thinking we're going to see that later on.
Yeah, they're really jumping around, and you know they, like I say in every podcast, they're really using the shit out of this Laura Moon character, which was not this big at all in the book. So, which is cool. I mean, you know, they're making her out to be a lot bigger asshole.
Yeah, we discussed that even her episode being its own episode, which was a good episode, means that her character is going to have more of a movement through this story than it was ever meant to have in the original book or the 10th anniversary.
Well, I haven't watched 7 yet. That's what I'm going to be doing this weekend. Probably just finishing it out so we could wrap this up. But I think I read for episode 7. I think it was episode 7, and like I was just going through my my news feed, and the headline of the article was like, "Laura Moon is made out to be an asshole," and I was like, "That's right. That's pretty accurate."
No, it is. I can get behind that absolutely. Right now, she's like in life and a little bit after death, she's kind of a jerk, and she doesn't have a ton of redeeming qualities. She loves Shadow now, and now she sees why. But like when he was alive, like
she did not wait for him.
That aside, like I kind of think that like, and maybe it's meant to be this way, but I don't really see the whole. I hate using the word chemistry. I really do. Between between these two characters or actors, it's just not really working. I mean, I know Shadow's supposed to be disappointed, but at the same time, like even her is supposed to be. I don't get it.
I agree. I think I agree. It's like they're like friends or
yeah, they're just like, oh, you again.
Yeah, I think I agree with that because they're on-screen chemistry kind of like. I mean, they're not supposed to have chemistry, but
no, they don't. They nailed that.
It's literally he walks in like all the stuff we discussed that already happened, and he just like sits in a chair. And he's like, "So what happened?" And like that's it. Like, there's no emotion.
I gotta hear you say it. You're real. Here, catch this fellow. Oh, you caught it. You're real. Okay. Let's move on. Yeah. So wait, did this episode, A Murder of Gods, did it start with her yelling at Sweeney?
Yep.
Trying to say like, what the F are you? What the F is everyone else? But first, what the F are you? Something like that. So then they agreed to steal a car, which ended up being Salim's, cab. And he's saying, we'll find a Jesus or Jesus himself to resurrect you so I can get my coin back. So like, you're happy with your life. I get my coin and everyone can part ways, because otherwise I don't think he wants to even have to wait for her to be able to rot long enough to be able to get his coin back. I think he wants it right now.
Do you think if she gets resurrected, he'll still call her dead wife?
Yeah, I hope he does. Dead wife's really working for me. How about Salim being back in the story? I thought he was just going to be a...
This is his second appearance.
Yeah, I didn't think we were.
It's one more appearance than he made in the book.
yeah. Oh, they said in the book he was like a chapter, or him and the Jinn were a chapter.
Yeah, that whole.
And then that was that. Like
right out of the book.
Yeah, that was
the book. I have a question about the book.
Graphic. Okay.
Does the story primarily focus around so? Just an example, Laura's not. She's not in. Like, she's a very minor character in the book. Salim's in a very small part of the book. It's pretty much centered around Shadow, right?
Yeah.
Like, essentially, he's like the guy. But there's really, like, aside from him and what he experiences, there's really not any other kind of character, right? I wonder if they're adding, or at least including these guys more to expand the demographic. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, they're gonna do 5 seasons of this shit too, and I mean,
that's a good point.
In all honesty, having finished it, I was talking to my buddy about it, who recommended it to me. And I said, like, up until now, this won, the Stoker Award when it came out. It won a bunch of awards. And to be honest with you, I was overall like lackluster with it until the last quarter of it, when shit started to go down, because it's literally, I mean, things do happen, but it's literally for 75% of the book them going and meeting up and being like, come on, let's go. All right, let's go.
You coming with us? All right, good. Boy, you're not coming? Come on.
Yeah.
Just come.
So then something goes down, and Shadow hides out in like a lakeside town for like chapters upon chapters. And I was texting my buddy. I'm like, dude, this is a slow book. This is a slow burn. How's this gonna work as a story? Yeah, and it's like 750 pages or whatever it is, 700 pages. So I'm like, it's entertaining though, because Neil could write so well. He's such a great writer. But overall, I'm like, there's nothing going on here. Like, you'd go from, I think it was broken up into 3 parts, and you'd go from part 1 to 2 and part 2 to 3, and you'd be like, I don't know, nothing big really happened here, Yeah. But the end was, what went down was really cool, and it really. But you know what? The end has like more lore in it too.
I wonder if they actually will go for 5 seasons. I mean, if this is successful enough, they can go over, because this is a pay channel. It doesn't have to worry about ratings. It's about subscriptions.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, if it's not doing too well, and that would be, I guess, how's it going to be received? Would they stop it a little early and kind of just, well, you know what? We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Wait to find out what goes on, what happens next, and where are we at the story? We already hit the road with Salim.
Yeah.
Sweeney and Laura Moon. And did we switch over to Wednesday and Shadow to get to Vulcan?
Well, before you go, like, what's Sweeney alluding to when he says, I'll take you to Kentucky and then we'll find your Jinn along with the murder of gods? Like, I don't know what he's alluding to there, but
I think maybe he already knew that. Maybe he knows where the Jinn's going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a whole murder of gods, which is, what does that mean? Like a group of gods? Is that what he's trying to say? So,
like
yeah. See, so like maybe a large group of gods or demigods in themselves could be considered a herd of gods or a group of them. But he knew that the gym would be somewhere in Kentucky for whatever reason, but it doesn't matter because he took a nap and then she turned the wheel, and then they're going to Virginia, right?
Yeah.
Is that what Vulcan is? Vulcan, Virginia?
Vulcan, yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, you might as well just continue. The next scene was because the next scene after that is when they're on the side of the road, and that's what you talked about Mr. Wood, when Wednesday's holding him and gets the.
Oh yeah, Wednesday was actually asking him questions. Maybe it was at the same time the Laura Moon was asking Mad questions, and then Mad would just give the answers, and then basically Shadows had all these questions for Wednesday. We talked about this before, and Wednesday doesn't really answer them. And he answers them when he wants to and the way he wants to. So he just kind of does his own thing, and then he figures out that he has this wound. It's a problem. It's getting worse, and then they go outside of the car, and I guess Wednesday, by using electricity or sending a type of jolt through Shadow's body while he's in front of the headlight at night, was able to get what we thought was smaller and retreating into his body, out of his body. He just throws it on the road, but by that time it's the size of like I don't even know what. And that was it. It was end scene. I mean, I know Shadow was freaked out about it. I mean, who wouldn't be? But Wednesday carried on like it was the price of doing business. Yeah, business as usual.
Yeah, so next one is when Laura's in the front seat taxi with, what do we call him? Salim.
Yeah.
How New York, he was scared of New York. He's no longer scared.
Salim's character, for all intents and purposes, and this is how the episode ends, is Salim's character is the one that has the new outlook on life, going to go pursue and do what he wants to be able to do. We think that Laura should, but Laura kind of is and isn't at the same time. And Matt Sweeney just wants to get the coin, so he doesn't give a shit. I mean, so yeah, it's Salim's character that's going to be with our characters now. That has an uber purpose. And he's actually really happy to be alive, and he's happy to be able to do the things he's doing right now. So it's funny that they showed us that side of his character, as they also show that he's going to continue forward with us.
I want to know the reason why Sweeney needs this coin.
It's his luckiest coin. He just wants it. He mentioned like in the past episode that like this is the type of coin you give to this ruler or this leader or this or that, but he knows he wants it back because he wants his luck back. He doesn't have the luck without that coin.
Got you.
That's his best coin, and he accidentally gave it away, and it has to be given back to him, or he has to take it once it falls.
Yeah, her corpse shows
falls
up.
out of the now like decomposing corpse of Laura Moon, who smokes cigarettes, although she can taste them.
Yeah.
Right? She's like, "Can I smoke in here?" He's like, "I'd rather not." They're like, "But it smells like crap in the back of your car." And he's like, "That's because someone took a crap in the back of the car." And he's like, "Go ahead, roll the window down. You can have one." Nuts.
Yeah. So he prays to find the djinn because the djinn is his afterlife. He wants no more. And then Sweeney laughs and goes to sleep.
I think he wants some more of that sweet gin action.
Yeah, right. Another scene, more scenes.
Oh no!
There was we actually had we had a good, but I had it good. It's like the show is giving me the break that I need to have to want to get into it more. So the past 2 episodes, there was no like kind of like forced upon you sex scenes. So I'm all right with it. We're moving forward with the story. We're setting up what has to happen next, and I like this type of progression. It's good, I think Fuller and Green had mentioned that they kept talking about this episode as being like Empire Strikes Back, and then basically they're saying that Vulcan is Lando Calrissian, and like yeah, he is Lando because Lando's not necessarily a good friend. You think he looks like he's a good friend, and he's basically a turncoat because when he gets pressured, and he'll kind of just do what he has to do to survive, or what he thinks is best for him. And it's funny they were talking about Star Wars like movements as far as the acts go, as far as like New Hope, Strikes Back, and Jedi, because those are some really good movies. I mean, for me personally, The Empire is my favorite.
So now we get into Vulcan ammo, which is totally, once again, new territory.
Well, it starts off with a funeral in this town of Vulcan where people have patches on and they all freely embrace having their firearms with them, and they have them at all times. And I guess that's an element of safety and it's of righteousness for them to be able to have that type of power. I mean, like firepower, guns to this degree, like, you know what I mean? That is part of what makes this entire town and the industry there with Vulcan move forward. And he has sacrifices into the volcano, which are the forges, with faulty hand railing. And they kind of just say that a worker can fall over, there'll be a sacrifice that makes, and again, Vulcan more powerful. And whatever sacrifice falls into the forge gets kind of made into the ammunition at the same time. And rinse, repeat, like people being able to use firepower in itself makes him also an old god that's kind of like a new god now too. He was able to bridge that space and be relevant now.
I do think it's pretty badass that like that he's like modernized himself by just like, they believe in the firearms, so you know I'm doing all right for myself.
Now, who is this like prior? This is made up, correct?
What do you mean?
This Vulcan is made up, right? Just like Technical Boy or Mr. World?
No, he's I think, is he a Roman?
Yeah.
God? Yeah, he's like a part of the Roman pantheon.
Yeah, he was real. As far as a god, as far as I think Roman times would have went, so.
As far as mythology and all that.
I mean, Technical Boy technically isn't not real, if you think about it. Like, it's happening now, in a way.
Oh, hell yeah. I
mean, there's no other book besides American Gods that writes about Technical Boy. There's tons of books that are written about Odin and.
True.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Put that out there as like food for thought. If you think about it, like the way they're presenting these gods, they do all very well exist for us in reality today because, well, these are things that we have to deal with as everyday concepts or notions.
I just wish there was just a Netflix god, not media, but just like a
Netflix itself.
Just like just walks around with like cartoon legs and cartoon hands and a face on the Netflix sleeve.
Does that mean like the Netflix god, like it gets in conflicts with the Hulu god and the Prime god?
Yeah, right. If there's a Netflix god, there's got to be a Hulu god.
Like, they should make American gods too with just that.
And then like before you know it, there's a Roku god for no reason that tells them what they have to do, like when they have to go to bed and stuff like that. And then the Fire Stick TV god shows up.
Think about it. You could have like Netflix god, Hulu god, what's another, like Amazon Prime god, and then
Prime god.
Then you could have like the torrent gods, the piracy gods,
the Pirate Bay god shows
and then you could have like them all getting pissed off and going after like Cody, which is like the ultimate god.
Yeah. Well, no, Cody can't exist without them. So you know what I mean? That's the thing. Like Cody's at the mercy of the Fire Stick TV or whatever Cody's going to be run on. You know, that's what I was getting at. We're like, well, if there is a Prime god and a Netflix god and a Hulu god, then like the Roku gods and the Fire Stick TV's gods can show them and boss them around. You know what I mean?
Dude, we just wrote a book. Let's do it.
Yeah, there you go. Here we go. There we go.
Oh man. So what happens after the speech is given, or when the speech?
There's a funeral for the guy who fell in, and then he has a little bit of a speech. They fire all their firearms up in the air. Wednesday gets out, tells the Shadow, you might want to take some cover. The bullets reach maximum height, their velocity, so the gravity pulls them back down. They go to have a conversation at Vulcan's mansion. Where he mentions the Shadow like 3 times. Like, you ever been hanged before? Or lynched? And he's just like, why are you asking me this? I guess Shadow wasn't really welcome there as much as like Mr. Wednesday was. But the conversation led to, hey, I'm here. We're getting a crew together. You're going to come, right? And he goes, yeah, I'll be there. He's like, well, before we do anything, I need you to make me a weapon. And Vulcan agrees. He goes, yeah, I'll make you a weapon. I'll make you one of the best swords you've ever had. For whatever reason, just because you're asked. And, he fires off a shot in his house, but in that type of town, no one really cares. I think the tree blinked, so Mr. Wood's hanging out. Did that happen? Was the tree outside where, like, Shadow kept imagining that he had seen a noose?
The noose, yeah.
Was that tree, like, did it, like, wink once? And I'm like, oh, like, so Mr. Wood's around again?
Mr. Wood's hanging out.
So that means Mr. Wood could be there to like kind of eavesdrop for the New Gods, if he's on the New Gods side. Right?
Yeah, didn't it rain bullets?
It did rain bullets, but that was before they went to the mansion.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And once they were in the mansion, they had a conversation where we saw Vulcan not only trying to like be a good old buddy friend to Wednesday, but he was also kind of like trying to intimidate him in Shadow. And that's when we start to get the inclination that like, wait a minute, he's doing very well for himself. He likes what's happening right now. He's agreeing to go with him, but does he really even need to go with him? And then after we're already at the factory and a sword is forged, you find out that Vulcan's already with the New Gods. And he's going to stay with them, and that's when Wednesday like basically takes the weapon that he just made for him into his hand and looks at him and he's like, these people are not the people you wanted to be with. You should have never been with them. And he's like, well, look what they already did for me. They were able to bridge what I was into this new future with a purpose, and I love what it all is and what it symbolizes right now. Firepower in these firearms on these people's hips or in these people's hands, or the ones that I have right here. And Wednesday basically tells him, he goes, they're just moving you around like a pawn because they had you take this position with them. You made a weapon for me. They basically sacrificed you in itself. And he says, well, how do you think that is supposed to happen? And he just takes the sword and cuts his throat with it. He falls back into one of the forges and starts to melt into the forge, basically. And that's when Wednesday curses the forge by taking a leak into it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Does it bother any of you guys about this? That this is going to go, 4 to 5 seasons, and this actor being super old.
Who?
Wednesday.
Ian, who plays Wednesday?
Yeah.
I'm all right with that. I mean,
It's a good point, though.
This is the first thing that I'm watching, and I'm like,
he's an old god, right?
This guy could die in like 3 years or 2 years.
Jeez.
I don't think.
Hopefully it doesn't,
right?
or he doesn't.
Well, you know where I got that is I was listening to a different podcast, and they were talking about Better Call Saul. They were talking about Mike. I'm like, Mike's getting up there in age.
Yeah, that's a frequent topic.
Yeah, and they're like, Mike's getting up there in age, and they go, as it goes on, this is a prequel, and Mike's getting older, and and they actually talked about how shitty it would be if something happened, he got sick or whatever.
Mike's an awesome character, and I do watch Better Call Saul, and in its third season, it's like at its height right now, story wise. So if you didn't like it for seasons 1 and 2, like get to season 3, don't quit. A lot of people I knew quit around the end of season 2, and you shouldn't have because it's good.
Is it better than Breaking Bad? On the podcast I was listening to, they said Better Call Saul is the superior show, and I haven't watched it once yet. I finished Breaking Bad.
I'll tell you this: Breaking Bad in seasons 1 and 2 weren't very good, and I was told to watch it when everyone was flipping out at the end of season 4, before season 5 started in its 2 parts. I watched Better Call Saul. I see all the how relevant it is to Breaking Bad with the characters, but season 1 was what it was, and 2 was okay, but like much like Breaking Bad, seasons 1 and 2 were not fantastic.
No, they stunk.
So it's like Better Call Saul making the arc that it has to in season 3, much like Breaking Bad. They both get good in season 3. They both get good in season 3, and then they go on from there. What you want to ask yourself when watching Better Call Saul is how much of this past tense are we going to spend? When do we get to the present tense of Breaking Bad, and then the actual present tense, which would be this post-era stuff, post-Breaking Bad, where Saul actually lives right now, working for a Cinnabon,
Yeah.
That's where they have a lot of power. They're going to be able to do a lot with like being intertwined while Breaking Bad's happening and after it's all done. I don't mind this stuff that's before it. We get to see more storylines that we can't see in those the time periods I just spoke of. Everyone liked Mike, and now we get to see a lot more of them. Everyone likes Gus. Gus is back again too. So, right. It's cool to be able to do that. They're finally doing that. They're doing it well. We're getting off topic.
One more segue before we go back is let's just hope that Preacher has Breaking Bad syndrome, because season 2 looks like it's straight out of the book, and Preacher is my favorite book of all time, comic book of all time.
Okay. I watched season 1. I didn't mind.
Season 1 I quit halfway through. Sucks shit. Dude, your favorite people are doing it. Seth Rogen. Isn't Seth Rogen one of your favorite directors of all time?
Yeah. Well, first of all, he's not directing it. He's probably a producer on it, and he's an actor that I don't prefer to watch in anything.
I do give him
that being said, it was slow in the beginning, and it got really interesting near the end. So yeah, they have maybe they have that like that same type of like illness or syndrome. What you're talking about is when things start, and this is one of my own theories. When a lot of series start in the beginning, they're trying to establish themselves and establish the characters. They're not very interesting, and then as everything goes on and things get into sort of a second act, things get a lot better. And maybe that's what had happened in Breaking Bad or Saul, or what we will have see to come past in Preacher. And there's another series on there that's might be able to do the same thing, the Badlands.
Yeah, well, that's funny because that's like exactly how I am when I read. Like, I'm an avid reader, but that's how it is. Like starting a new book, that first chapter or two, say, you know,
just skip it.
You're like trying to figure out like what's going on, because some of these books like open right in the middle like of shit that's going on, and you're like, I don't even know who these people are. What are they trying to tell me here? And then like you learn the character by chapter 3 or chapter 4 or whatever, which would be a season, say. You're off and running and everything. Now you're just flowing with the book and everything's good. But I do have a hard time, like a lot of the time, about 60-70% of the time when I'm reading books, and I'm like, all right, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that, man. I think that's a lot of just especially depending on like depends on a lot of things like the author and stuff. But I agree. I've been there before a lot of the time too.
Yeah,
for sure.
But yeah, so we back on track. We go back to Jack's Crocodile Bar.
Well, we ended up back in Jack's Crocodile Bar because Laura kind of took us on a detour, and Sweeney doesn't understand that this had happened until he wakes up and he's just like, "This isn't Kentucky." Right? It's not Kentucky. They have a conversation while they're in there. Sweeney's able to explain to everyone there that this is where the deal had gone down, and that basically Shadow now belongs to Wednesday. So he's like, he's not your man anymore, even if he was in the past, or you think he is now. He's a Wednesday's guy, and Wednesday's trouble. So that's that. And
he's saying that to Laura, right?
I
just think it's funny. Yeah, it's funny that she even thinks she has any kind of possession over him after, you know, she kind of cheated on him and everything.
Well, she does, and that's her being like, I understand that I love him now and how much he means to me now, and like when she sees him in the world now, he has this like glow, it's like yellow or gold or whatever you want to call it to him, and that's how he moves through the world as she views it. So now he's supposed to be so important to her, and in fact that's how she actually kind of tracks him no matter how far away he is.
Yeah,
like a compass, she can see like part of his light, and she, with the luck of the coin, can actually help protect him even more than he can protect himself at this point. So she wants to get back to him. In this episode, he had seen her in a rearview mirror and been like, meh, like I'm not worried about returning to this conversation right now. And she's like, oh my God, I have to go find him. Where's my car? It's been impounded. Great, what do I do now? So she's very much in pursuit of him, and him right now, although he wants to be around her to some varied degree, just is moving forward with Wednesday. So yeah, you're right. She doesn't have a lot to be able to stand on, and she's still trying to. She's gonna go for it. I mean, good for her, I guess, right? I mean, it takes dying to know that you love somebody like unconditionally. That's kind of shitty, and that's what we were talking about before about her character. Like, she's not a very nice character, and now she has this huge role in this series now. So if she was just a footnote in the book before they did that 10th anniversary, then well, look out, because she's here to stay.
I hope they fix her scars.
I hope they don't, and I want to see what's going to happen, because Sweeney keeps telling her, you don't want to sit over there. There's a lot of lights over there. It's a lot of heat. He keeps telling her, like, this heat is going to make you decompose faster. He goes, I don't understand what you're doing out here. Like, you can keep hanging around me, but the more you're going to hang around the heat, the more you're going to start, like, the meat will fall off the bone.
She reminds me of the real life version of that girl that Jack Skellington was in love with in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay. Well, that makes sense with like the stitching and
raggedy
stitches.
Right. Salim at the
Salim's
end.
Back.
Morning prayer.
He does the morning prayer, and
he says, Allahu Akbar.
Admiral Akbar.
Admiral
Akbar. This scene happens at the end, and basically, like, I guess Laura looks over at him and smiles, and he might look back and smile himself. And that's what I was talking about before, where I'm like, Salim's got the best part of what's happening right now, and he has a clear direction, and he's got a new lease on life. Where people are like, well, doesn't Laura have the new lease on life? I'm like, technically yes, but I'm not so sure she's happy. I'm not sure Shadow's happy. Like these people aren't generally happy with what's happening around them, although they're struggling to figure out what are the rules in this new strange world. Well, a lot of other gods, demi or old or new, already know the rules. They're not even worried about that. They're worried about a war that's about to happen, or it's like, you know, the calm before the storm per se. Right.
Cool. I guess that's it then.
Yeah.
That wraps up episode.
We'll be ready
6.
for the next episode then, right?
Yeah, episode 7 and 8 coming this week, because it's wrapped up and we're behind because we are B+ podcasters.
That's how we roll.
That's it.
People expect this from us. They don't want all the stuff up like when it should be there. They're like, oh, look, they're on time. This is terrible. They're like, oh, look, they're way behind. All right.
Maybe if it's worthy to talk about, we could talk about Chaelsada versus Wanderlei.
That's that's actually that is an old fight that people and maybe even fans have wanted to happen for a very, very, very long time. And Bellator is going to make it happen.
Saturday.
And you didn't mention that like Fedor Emelianenko is on the card too. Like the last Emperor is back and he's fighting Matt Mitrione.
Oh, I didn't even know. I didn't even know about this. I didn't even know about this fight until yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And,
yeah, I'll tell you all about it for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well then, thanks everyone for tuning in. Like I said, we'll have 7 and 8 coming at you soon. And if you enjoyed, please hit the subscribe button. Give us a like.
I would like for you to lightly touch the mouse if you're using a mouse or a touchpad.
Good night.